What if I told you that 106 rated double booster Fabio Cannavaro is not the best destroyer in eFootball? Now, the stats will tell you that he is far ahead of everyone, but the truth is, Epic Tony Adams, which you can obtain from the penalty challenge of the daily game, a card that Konami gives you for free, is the best destroyer in eFootball. I would even argue that there are a lot of free-to-play destroyer cards that are not better than Cannavaro, but Cannavaro is not ahead of them by much. You might think that I am delusional for saying this, but the truth is, stats don't tell you the full story about players. A very important way of judging players is by looking at their player model or player ID. If you are new to my channel and you want to know what player ID really means and how it works, I suggest you watch this video I already made explaining everything about player ID. However, if you are not new here and you have already watched the video, in this video I will be revealing to you the players that are highly underrated but have the best player IDs in eFootball. As an extra bonus for you guys, I will be answering most of the questions asked in the previous video about player ID in this video. Let's begin with the goalkeepers. Now, with goalkeepers especially, stats is not what you should focus on. In order to know how good a goalkeeper is, you need to look at their player ID and look at these three things specifically: arm length, arm coverage, and jump height. Like I said in the previous video, arm coverage depends on player height, arm length, and shoulder width. The goalkeeper with one of the best player ID in eFootball is Manuel Neuer. He has 9 in arm length, 178 centimeters in arm coverage, which is the reason why he can make saves even if the shot seems to be unreachable. He also has a very good jump height of 168 centimeters. The next goalkeeper with great ID is Donnarumma. Although his arm length is just 6, his arm coverage is very good at 177 centimeters. A goalkeeper who every eFootball player has but refuses to use him because they simply don't know how good he is Gregor Kobel. Now, I know some of you might have already released this card because of his stats, but that's the issue you face if you focus too much on stats. Kobel has an amazing player ID, 10 in arm length, 180 centimeters in arm coverage, which is 13 centimeters more than Donnarumma. He is not the tallest, but his jump height is 274 centimeters, which is significantly higher than Manuel Neuer's. This is another free card that has one of the best player IDs in the game. He is highly underrated. Moving on to the defenders. In the first video about player ID, I talked about this Kalidou Koulibaly card and how great of a player ID he has, and he is just for free. But I didn't think Konami were cooking something special for us, that 1 week later they brought a player with a much better player ID, and that is Jonathan Tah. His stats might not be the best, but his player ID is superb. He has 11 in leg length, 190 centimeters in leg coverage. His torso collision is 54 centimeters. Arm coverage is 177 centimeters. He is a physical beast and he can intercept balls and blocks a lot of chances for you. And you can easily get him just by spending a few coins. I think this is a card you shouldn't miss out on. Another defender with a great player ID is Fikayo Tomori. He has a very similar player ID to big-time Ronald Araujo card, and that alone should tell you how good Tomori is in this game. Now, shout out to this comment by Alan on the previous video who talked about Daniel Munoz as one of the hidden gems of defenders in eFootball. His player ID is very similar to that of Costa Curta. Even their stats are very close. He is amazing and very underrated. He performs very well in the game. Moving on to the most crucial position on the field is defensive midfielder, and this is where you need to have the players with the best player IDs in the game, and there is none other than Rodri. His leg coverage is very high at 184 centimeters. His torso collision is also very high. No wonder he's everywhere on the pitch and a ground eater. Another player whose player ID is good for DMF is Sandro Tonali. He may not have the best stats, but his player ID makes him a very valuable asset in the game. Now, to the midfielders. The two midfielders who, in my opinion, are the best free-to-play whole players in eFootball are Charles De Ketelaere and Michael Olise, player of the week cards. Their stats are good, but their player IDs are even more special. CDK's leg coverage is very high, which helps him in ball carrying. His torso collision is also very high, and this will make him win physical duels. Michael Olise's player ID, on the other hand, is far better than CDK's. His high leg length of 12 makes him a very fast player in the game. His leg coverage is also very high. Now couple that with his stats and he makes an amazing card to have in the game. Now, before I talk about the forwards and their player IDs, I would like to answer a very common question from the last video I made. I received several comments similar to this one here that asks, if player ID is so important in the game, then why do players like Maradona and Messi, who don't have the longest legs or great lock coverage but are the best dribblers in eFootball? To explain why this happens, Amadeus, who makes videos with eFootball Hub, has found out that although player ID might suggest they are not good, they also have their own special player IDs. There is a height range that players need in order to be great dribblers in eFootball, and that is 166 centimeters to 173 centimeters high. 170 centimeters is the ideal height to be a great dribbler in the game. For strikers, having high leg length and leg coverage is very important. For example, if there is a 50-50 ball in the box and your striker has a very high leg length and you take a shot, even if the defender tries to clear, your striker will make the shot because he has higher leg length compared to the defender. That is why Victor Osimhen is one of the best strikers in the game. Another player with great player ID is Rafael Leao. His leg length is 12, which makes him very fast in the game, and leg coverage is also very high, which makes him a physical beast. That is why Leao's big time card is still to this day one of the best cards in the game, even though it is 2 years old. Anyways, a lot of you guys showed massive support on the last video I made on player ID and requested a part 2 of the video. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. Peace.